For 3 minutes. I am not. It's so great.
Is there a sign-up sheet back there for?
They're in here.
Yeah.
Stay on that top of the stage, so.
All right, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:04. Thank you, Nancy. Go ahead and do a roll.
Counselor Thunderbird. Here. Counselor Westlaw.
Here.
Counselor Katie McMillan.
Excuse.
Counselor Wheeler. Here. Counselor Dennis McMillan.
Here.
Counselor Tenight.
Here.
Please rise for a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There's sign. I forgot to call you. Your site.
Here. Okay, at this time, we're looking for approval of the agenda. So anything to be added to the agenda, council? Issues with it? Okay, we're seeking for a motion to approve the agenda in this current state.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Can I get a second, that motion, please.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All those? Guys have it, thank you. Over to Dave for the city manager report.
Yeah, so first is some general announcements. I'm gonna be out of the office starting tomorrow through next week. Celebrating my wife and I's 20th wedding anniversary, so
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
thank you very much. 6-month trip to Maui, bad timing, and so now we're going to go volunteer. So we contacted multiple churches, United Way and the Red Cross, and so you know, Hawaii is where we met and lived for a few years. We had nothing. Hawaii gave us everything. Now it's lacking some. We hope to give some back. So we're
Wow, that's cool.
so we're looking forward to that.
My hat's off to you.
So that'll be a lot of fun. So in the meantime, Brandon will be acting city manager starting tomorrow at 5 a.m. To the 21st. And then from the 22nd to the 27th, Melissa will be acting CM. And I'll send an email out tonight, so you have that way too. Brandon says that the city will not catch on fire this time. I know they said it. Yeah, so hopefully that's true. I was warned. I got the fire chief tonight, so it's been for. Outside of that, just wanted to again highlight and just continue to thank community members coming to our events, to Saturday Market. Our staff was out at the fair this last week, had a week promoting Rock the Lots. They sold like over 20 tickets out there during that event. You know, had over like 200 people go into our raffle, stuff like that. So some good outreach and a lot of positive feedback from there. Which is a good opportunity to interact and talk about different people. That's all I have as far as just general announcements. And so up next we have our annual report for Project Path. And so with us tonight is Justin Cole, the executive director from Separate Steps. I'll have you Good
evening. Hello, thank you for having me. I think it was part of the packet, is that correct? Okay, so I wanted to come and be here and go over it, answer any questions that you might have. I don't want to go through page by page unless you need to read it, please. I didn't think so. But if you have any questions for me, just another opportunity to get in front of you, say thank you, and again, give you more information if you need it.
So I had a quick question, and maybe it's said in here, and I don't remember, but can you kind of give me the kind of the rough timeline on when we plan to start phases, the next phases?
Sure, so I did just drive by the site, so right now we're waiting on site improvements. So septic well are set to go in any time, followed shortly by electricity, and then And the fencing is also in line with that, correct? Okay, so it's this month, all of that is supposed to happen and be finished as quickly as they can do that. So we're still aiming for early fall. So once all of that, yeah, once all that infrastructure is in, we can move our 2 modular buildings, our 21 shelter units, and we are.
Are all of the shelter units built out now, or they still need some built?
There's some finishing work still being done. So windows are being installed, doors and door hardware is being installed, and then some trim pieces. But that's the final component.
And will those be air conditioned?
No,
So they're gonna get pretty warm, so.
so they have them in Walla Walla without air conditioning or heat, and haven't had any problems. There's the door and the window, so cross flow, and they don't have to be in there during the day either, so. Yeah, they've been rated at about 10 degrees variance from the low flow to the high tide, so.
Yeah, that was my only question with our timeline. And to be clear, it's not from Stepping Stones, they're waiting on us. So we are working, obviously, we had to go through all the cultural resource, environmental resource, all those reviews. We got all that done, DEQ finally gave its blessing, moved forward. And so now it's just been subject design engineer and now installer coming on, and well driller, installer, fence, bid and ready to go. So you'll start seeing contractors show up, maybe by the end of this week, most likely next week, and then more and more showing up. And as Justin said, it's gonna move pretty quick over the next 6 to 8 weeks.
We've been looking for favors from well drillers and those kind of folks, and they've been out 6 to 9 months, well drillers. So we've been pleading with some folks to try to get things rolling a little faster. So anyway, it just, nothing, especially when you're not bidding a project, when it's looking for estimates and getting those back, and you're not on somebody's schedule at the beginning of the year, it's really hard. So anyway, I'm not making excuses. We're working with diligence and all that stuff.
I have one other question, if I may, on your map, site map, are the round objects trees, or what are those?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, so
You're-
that,
Yeah,
they're just, they're just artist rendition. So the idea was about every 3 units, at least place some sort of tree that can shade. And the way that this is oriented, if you actually turn it to face north, so that's gonna be on the west side, to provide shade from the afternoon. And so, we'll put in whatever seems to be the appropriate amount to cover, but it's gonna take some time for those trees to have the right canopy and stuff like that.
Just, I don't want to speak for you, but if there is an emergency, like if we get the 150, 120 degree heat that we got a couple years ago or something like that, but they can use the office. We can put people in there during the day to cool them so that we don't violate any kind of state ordinance and state codes, because everybody's, with the heat exhaust and stuff, everybody's been pretty tight on that. So we will have the ability to take care of it.
Yeah, both the navigation center and sleep center are heated and air conditioned.
And the white roof on top to help reflect heat. So, yeah.
I actually have more of a comment than anything else. So I was actually at the Oregon Mayor's Association meeting last week. Thank you. Some meeting to see, but one of the biggest issues has been homelessness and drug issues. So this is phenomenal, and your hard work and effort is going into this, and it's definitely a statewide issue. And I'm glad that our city and our county or our neighboring city are taking this seriously, and folks like Toledo take care of it.
Nancy, I noticed 5.2 says motion to accept town annual report. Do we need to do that in this?
Yeah, so I put that there, so because their contract requires an annual report of some of these other ones, so these ones, these are contract related, we just want to. So if there was more that you wanted, you would need to give some direction, say go back. So rather than, this is meant to be just a report, but if you want to provide action, you could do that, but in this case, just to say, if we think the report, we're gonna accept it, it's gonna be part of the final contract. Because this is gonna go every year in November, because of the pilot program for House Bill 4123, we have to submit annual reports, our strategic plan, all those kind of things. So this is gonna end up going to the state, and so it's nice that we have a motion to accept this report.
You know, to accept this report this time.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we accept, the PAC 2022-23 the report as presented.
Thank you, can I get a second to that motion?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Yeah, have it. Thank you again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
This time it's public comments. Is there any public comments at this time?
Yes. Yes, yeah, stay.
Sam Nobles, I live at 81776 Lynn Road. I want to first congratulate the mayor, first time I got a chance to be in here with the new councilman. And I had a chance to meet with Mr. Stockdale, because what you did for our museum by purchasing us. I've been keeping up on the city, because knowing you went to Umatilla High School, I was not concerned. I knew we'd have a good mayor. Congratulate the rest of the new councilman. I'd like to have a couple of things here, but I just wrote a new book at Umatilla. It's called The First 100 Years of Umatilla, from 1862 to 1962. It's been about 30 years. The book sells for $10. You can buy it at the museum, or you can buy it from me. Number two, I don't know who your street department person is, but the one on Draper Road, the big, well-known road that's going to be important for the next 30 days. The big sign on the far corner is laying in the dirt. It's been there for 6 months, so nobody knows what Draper Road is. So whoever's at the streets. And the next thing is that trail that you people have designed 2 miles out on the old River Road. That is going to be fabulous. There's so much history on that road, but the first 2 miles you're going, there's probably 10 important events that happened since 1862. That we could do something on the bridges of something to show where the school started, where the first grist mill was, where the first dams were. So it's a very interesting place. Now, you would tell us probably most known things in the next 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comment at this time?
Cash out, Venmo. Cash out, Venmo for the book.
How do you take payment?
Oh, gosh.
Any other public comment? All right, moving on to 7.1, the consent agenda for the July 5th, 2023 minutes. Any questions on the minutes?
I just have one slight note that there was, it said Mayor Syke was here, and then it said that he was absent. Oh, so not that that's very important.
It's just this, I'll fix it.
I'm just mysterious about that.
Right?
Space time.
Just allowed us to know when you were gone.
Awesome. Okay, I'm taking a motion to approve the agenda, or actually approve the whole consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve consent agenda item 7.1, July 5th, 2023 minutes.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And thank you. Moving on to 8.1 in new business, resolution 01/2024, resolution authorizing city manager to sign an agreement with the state of Water Department of Environmental Quality for
Mr. Mayor, if I could just, I think I heard 01 and it's actually 07.
sorry, thank you, 07. Water quality, quality for water and state revolving loan to fund Howard City and Brown Sewer Service Extension Project.
Couldn't we do all 3 at once? Or do we have to do each one?
Well, let's do 07 first. We can do 9 and 10 as one motion, but I'd like to make sure we present that.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah, thanks. So, this is, I believe, at least the third or fourth time this has come to council. So this is, the, loan is affiliated with our, Power City Brownell sewer service extension. We already have approvals for the water service extension. This is now the sewer side of that. So, we were successful in getting the $10.8 million loan with $2 million forgiveness. So in the end, it comes down to about 8.8 when it's all said and done. So this will extend water services from the highway all the way to south, the Amazon property on Lynn Road, and then up Brownell area to those properties up there on Cherry and Locust and so on. So those are.
Any questions about that? at the time,
One quick question, are we still looking for funding opportunities, grants, things like that? I mean, are we still eligible for those things?
Yeah, so
Once
we
start.
yeah, so we got this project total, the water and sewer combined is about a $19 million project. We've received, including the $2 million principal loan forgiveness, which is sort of like a grant. We have about half of that for 9 million of the, sorry, excuse me, 6 million of the 14 million is all grant funds. So we can continue to go out for additional grants, but it's difficult to get grant funding once we've already started the project. So what we're looking at now is project path is about 1,200 linear feet to the south of where this project ends. And so the next phase of this project will be to expand that water and sewer down the path, and we'll continue to go after grant funds for that next phase. But we went, and I know I think it's at 14 million instead of 19 on another side. I apologize for the confusion. But so we'll go out for grant funds for that. At this point, we've talked to CDBG, we looked at DEQ and OWRD grants and so on. We've exhausted the majority of the grant funds for this point.
So how much are we gonna be on the hook for then?
So this will be a total of about 13 million combined over the course of I don't remember if this was a 30-year or 40-year loan for this project. I have to double check the The good news is with it is that as the city's expanding, plus the expansion of this, there isn't an impact to the rate payment. So you might recall in 2019, the city adopted our system development charge plan, which included increases to our water and sewer rates, just because to catch up to market and be where the operations are. So we're continuing to implement and follow the proposals of that plan. This project did not impact both the water fund or the sewer fund, where we had to raise those rates in addition to what that plan has been asking for.
That's gonna be my next question. Yeah. Could this impact?
No, when we saw, you might recall through the budget processes, we did a 7% rate increase rather than the plan called for 6%, but inflation has been way higher than what we could possibly envision in 2019. And so staff proposed and budget committee accepted a 7% increase instead of the 7%. So, but that didn't have to do with this project. It had to do more with just general market.
Yes, I've got one more question for you. Brownell, is that going down behind the truck stop area or is that further?
No, that's right. Yeah, it's just running north of the truck stop.
Thank you.
Really would be more accurate to say Cherry Locust Brownell, it's just kind of the road everybody goes to.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, can I get a motion to approve or a motion to deny?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve new business item 8.1, resolution 072024.
Okay, can I get a second on that motion?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Moving on to 8.2, resolution 09/2024, a resolution approving the extension, or sorry, execution of a long-term rural enterprise zone abatement agreement with the state data center company LLC.
Thanks.
So
So
these are the two.
yeah, so we can do these two together if that's okay. We do 8.2 and 8.3.
Yep.
That's all right.
8283
Yeah, resolution 09, resolution 10. Yeah. So, 09 is with Sabi, and we have, Mike is here tonight representing them. I'd like, if you, Mike, you want to take a moment to introduce yourself, introduce your company, you come on up to the podium there, and I'll take it from there.
You want me to get my address and all that?
Just who you're with.
Hi, Mayor Side, council members, my name is Mike Hanson. I'm the COO of Sadie Corporation, the parent company of Sadie Data Centers. And we've been working with your staff, who are just marvelous to deal with, for the last several months. And we've been working hard together and really collaborated. And so we're really pleased with what the agreement ended up being. And a little bit about Sadie Corporation. We're in, we have a pretty significant footprint in central Washington, very climate much like this in terms of lifestyle and a lot of the attributes. And so we're really excited about the opportunity to be here. We have 60 acres out near the Amazon areas, and we have big plans to do a lot of good work here. But I would like you to know that we are a community partner, and we want to be part of the community. We're not here to just do what we do. We're here to be part of the community and help Umatilla be the best it can be. So we're looking forward to that, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody has.
As we move forward, do you have a timeline?
Well, we're a little bit different than like an enterprise data center customer, like an Amazon, where they're pretty prescriptive in where they're going to go, what they're going to build, and why. We came here for lots of good reasons, and we're looking to secure an anchor tenant to get started, and we're working hard at that. And if you follow the data center industry, you know it's been pretty dynamic, and one of the biggest attributes here is the availability of power. A lot of areas are, getting constrained that way, and we don't use water, and we run the most efficient data center of anybody in the country. We're really committed to being as efficient, and so as soon as possible.
I appreciate that.
When you said Central Washington, is that Elmsburg?
We're in East Wenatchee and in Grant County. And, both those places are, 30 to 40 minutes away from each other, but very similar to the Tri-Cities area.
Okay, and those are up and functioning?
Yeah.
Currently.
So we're in Central Washington. We're in Seattle, in the Temple area. We have a data center in Manhattan, which is pretty unique. We're in Ashburn, Virginia. We have a project being built in Austin, Texas. So we're the biggest privately held data center company. We're going to make it happen. We like it. Yeah.
Good stuff. And these are air-cooled?
In this environment, we'll do some evaporative cooling, and we'll have additional mechanical cooling to support that on the kind of days we're having today. So, we can finally work not only good neighbors, but we're good teammates.
Awesome. Like that?
All right.
I like that.
Council, any other questions at this time?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just a couple added items before your vote, if I could. So thanks, Mike, very much. I just wanted to echo the same thing. It's been from a staff perspective, Sadie's been incredible to work with. I think you first reached out to us about a year ago, and then we really got going as you ran your due diligence, procured your property. We started negotiations sort of preliminaries about 6 months ago, and then really the last 4 months have been really pretty frequent. The agreement looks similar to some of our other long-term enterprise zone agreements in general, but I did want to point out to Sadie's point, Mike's point on community partnership. When we met to discuss our upfront negotiations on this, one of the things that we talked about with this enterprise zone agreement was that it was important to the city to continue to reach out and be good community partners to our other taxing districts with this agreement. And I think we've done a really good job doing that here, and really appreciate Sadie for being sort of proof in the pudding, as far as this commitment. I just kind of address your attention to item 4, community investment payment. Over the course of a few years, they're going to make a $2 million payment, and those broken up in different payments, but those are earmarked specifically to the Umatilla Hospital District for their new clinic, and to Mr. Noble mentioned earlier, the Umatilla County River Trail project, which is not only a major regional project here, but it has significant historical value to the area and will have unbelievable connectivity as well. When we talked about those items with Savvy, it really just came down to just the logistics of timing. It wasn't even well, we don't feel like we need to do that. It was, we want to be good community partners. These are great projects. We'd love to partner with you. So I really just wanted to go on record and just be sure to point that out. And that it's just been a very pleasant opportunity to work with them. In your adopted goals, you have continue to have goals to promote and support the growth of data centers in the region. And we've had a lot of that, obviously, with our other data center partner with Amazon. But this is more of a complementary service, I think, from an economic development perspective. So Mike mentioned that they essentially lease out space. And so their customers are Amazon, Google, Facebook, and so on. And many other smaller outfits as well. As those big companies are swapping out tech and need space for that, they contract with Savvy and their partners for their lease that space, and so that there's no interruptions in those services. And so while their development is highly driven on the contracts and the terms in which they set those up, we feel pretty confident that they're not going to have too many issues. Obviously, you do too. That's why they're here, to be able to fill that space and police that out. And so it's just a complementary model. And as we've invested regionally in this area with our partners like Blue Mountain Community College, Eastern Oregon University, Columbia Basin, where they've now incorporated data tech classes and programs, and even offered jobs to those graduates before they graduate. That we feel that there's a good establishment there, and through the long-term enterprise agreement, they have to sign a deal, just as a reminder, with WorkSource Oregon, which they've done, that says that they will partner with education and trade organizations to create those skills within the community, so there's not a gap in the world there. So they've done that. They've met our goals. We are meeting our goals of data center, and they've invested into some of these other programs. And on top of that, they also have the same as what everyone else has done, which is 25 paying taxes according to the ad valorem tax rate, as if it was at 25 million. So all other 13 jurisdictions are going to receive those payments as if it was a $25 million property, graduating at 3% each year during the term of the abatement. And so that's really nice too. And then I'll point to items 7 and 8 as well. The public safety impact fee is specifically earmarked at $58,000 to go towards primarily fire, but it could be used for police if needed. And then the student success fee here is at $85,000 for this as well. That's specifically earmarked in the distribution agreement, which is later on to go to the Umatilla School District. So again, we have terrific regional projects, partnership dollar amounts here, and I just wanted to be sure to highlight those for you today.
Awesome. Okay. Make a motion to pass or deny those joint.
If I may, real quick, prior to that, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to just reiterate, point out, and just say how much I appreciate the fact that you guys don't need water.
He's not to.
Yeah, that's a really big deal. I appreciate that a lot. All right, Mr. Mayor, I
Okay.
apologize.
No, you're good. I get a motion to approve or deny. I have resolutions 0974 and 10. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion. We approve resolution 092024 and resolution 102024, items 8.1 and 8.3 as presented.
8.2.
8.2 and
8.2 and 8.3.
I get a second to that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Help
thank you.
Our community.
Moving on to our second public comment. Is there any additional public comments at this time? Thank you. All right, go on to discussion items, number 10.1, council meeting times. This is one I asked anything about conversation about, and I was happy to get on the agenda today, and David, or something. You want to talk or any talk? I can mind you.
Yeah. I think building a load. That's it, I can pull it up another way. I'm just curious if they saw it.
Like all Dave's pulling up, I had me and Dave had a conversation about getting the times consistent with the charter, and they're both of meetings supposed to be at 7 o'clock. Just making sure that we're staying on track with it, either being at 7 o'clock or if we want to change that. I just want our 2 meeting times to be consistent, it's kind of confusing for some. We have 2 different meeting times, and I want to have a general discussion with the council about that.
Were you saying the charter says 2 separate times or that they were supposed to 7?
So I apologize, I had this whole, I'm not sure why it didn't load with this whole paragraph for you. So the city charter states, quote, "The council must meet at least once a month at a designated time and place." That's it. The code says 161 says the council shall meet regularly at a formal meeting on the first and third Tuesdays of each month, beginning at 7 p.m. according to the city calendar planning schedule adopted by the council each year. And then your adopted policies say that meetings will take place on the first and Tuesday of each month, beginning at 7. All their meetings typically scheduled on the third Tuesday, beginning at 6. So what we are fully compliant with the charter, which is very broad, just at a designated time and place, which we're doing, designated time and place, no problem. The code says 7 p.m. always. Your adopted rules say 7 p.m. and 6 p.m. So that gives you, we have 3 options so that all of these policies mesh. So option 1 would be to amend the code so that all meetings begin at 6 p.m., which would require just an ordinance update. By the way, none of these proposals require a charter update. We're fully compliant with the charter, so we don't get that. 2 is to amend the code to follow the current practice so that it's first and third Tuesday, 7 and 6 respectively. And the third would be to adopt, for us to just adopt the code, which currently says all meetings at 7. So what you get by saying your policy, your council policies adopt the code, you're saying we're going to meet at 7 o'clock always. So so basically that's what Mayor said, either always at 7, always at 6, or you could meet at 7 and 6 like you have it. That's an option too. But I put on here, staff is recommending that a uniform starting time be adopted to help reduce confusion with the community. So either 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., whichever is the pleasure of the council. But we get a lot of questions, and I've heard a lot of comments back, even from you sometimes. What time are we meeting again? Which meeting is this? The 6 o'clock meeting or the 7 o'clock meeting? And if our own council is struggling with which time it meets, like the community members, I just think it's going to be even more difficult because they're just not all the way down in the weeds like we are. So this is what we're proposing as a uniform time. We wanted to kind of talk about it here to figure out if we want a uniform time or go as we fit.
I want to over here, so.
Kind of thinking of like citizens and it's the middle of the week and what sort of things could be going on. I feel like it might be a little wiser to have it at that 7 p.m. mark. People can get home, you know, transition kids where they need to be, make sure dinner's on the table and get here. I find myself as a mom transitioning with kids having difficulties with the 6 p.m. time. So just kind of thinking from that scale, maybe other citizens that might be like that. I don't know, what are your opinions on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but I also understand we have staff that have to stick around for that extra hour.
Right.
As opposed to being right. So I don't know, and I think I was actually here when we moved it from 7 to 6.
So I'll speak perhaps an unpopular opinion from staff. Don't make a decision based on staff. Make a decision that works best for you and for the community. Staff will support whatever you decide.
Right.
So it's either 7 or 6.
But we would be amiss if we didn't think about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, my department directors might smack me upside the head. That's we work at the pleasure of the community and the pleasure of the council, and we will make we will adjust as need be. What I will recommend, whatever you decide here at the end, is give us some time to implement. Give us 60 days or 90 days, because the logistics of life exists.
Yes.
Maybe it's effective January 1 or something like that. Maybe we can get through holidays and stuff like that too, but assuming that that's the case, that you give us some time to implement, from the staff perspective, as long as we have that sort of grace, that period of grace where it's changing, we'll be able to make the adjustment.
I echo what Ashley's saying as well. I think 7 o'clock was better.
I do too.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Because that way you can. Then we can do it. I think that's what we're doing.
So, still a 10 o'clock cutoff, all right?
We took the job, we took the job, no, we have city council. It's not the end of the world.
I don't want to affect planning commission too, so.
Some of you should have public works director.
And that doesn't impact, because typically we're here at 6 and we go a little further on the other two. So it doesn't impact any other meetings that would be.
No.
Okay.
And if you can keep the meetings at 35 minutes.
Right? Yeah.
We're getting really close.
Hey, Rob, I'm sorry about that.
The rest of how long we do it.
The 3-hour rule is in your adopted rules, so that still applies. If you guys are gonna go longer than that, you have to make a motion and vote to go longer than a 3-hour.
Wait, it doesn't say we do get food. That was just word of mouth.
That's not
pretty
officially
sure
adopted. We usually legally bribe the budget committee with pizza, stuff like that.
Any other questions or discussion items on 10.1?
Would it make sense to do it at the start of next year? Because I know we've already approved our calendar for this year. Okay.
That's what, yeah, I would recommend if we did that, let's make it effective the January 2nd meeting, next year, and then that way you're not have to change your calendar, line it all up, but we can start putting information out, like, just so you know, effective January 2nd, all meetings will be.
That works for me, John.
And then.
So I'm hearing, for staff to bring you back, an updated, amendment to your policies. Just say, I think it was option 2, adopt the city code as your official meeting. And then that way, if you ever change the code, because you don't have to change the policy, you just reference the code, and
Yeah.
that keeps everything.
Awesome. Okay, moving on to 10.2, establishing the Yard of the Month program.
All right, I have all this that didn't come through. Let me pull that item up as well.
Still praying that.
Doing great.
I didn't publish, but, you mean the green arrow that says right here?
That's so pretty.
I told you, you gotta bring your boss to work today. All right, we have a lot of things in your adopted goals. One of the things that are in your goals is improvement of quality of life, and there's some, for lack of better terms, some community pride goals and things that are there. This is one here is to establish essentially a Yard of the Month program starting spring of next year, where people can nominate themselves or their neighbors that seem to take extra pride in the care of their landscapes. And we could post those online and then award someone to be the Yard of the Month. And with that, we can give them either a $50 credit to their water bill, because it's going to be an expensive water bill, either in that green. And so we can give them a $50 credit as a thank you, or we give them a $50 gift card to a restaurant in Umatilla that they can support some of the local businesses here as well. And so this is something that we'd like to set up and to be highlighted on our social media and our web pages and stuff like that. It's not in any budget or anything anywhere. We're talking about the remaining last 3 months of the fiscal year, and it's like $150. So it's not really going to impact. We'll have the line items are just not that tight, so we shouldn't have any issues in the fiscal year. But
You're saying that there would only be 3 months that would be awarded
in the current fiscal year, but it would be probably 7 months. We'll probably run it April through October. Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think it's a wonderful incentive for people to travel harder. Maybe I would echo I think both options should be available to the recipients that, they.
Yeah, they can choose whichever one they like. Yeah,
So you said, what months? May.
April through October.
Could we possibly look at this as like, as we get into the holiday season, maybe even do nominations for like, yeah, like holiday?
Decorate.
Fourth of July house or that.
Theme. And like, I'd love to encourage like light.
Yeah.
Those that don't, so great.
Yeah.
As long as I'm not grading them, that's, I don't care what.
Yeah, we haven't figured out who that should be yet. I was thinking perhaps public, maybe the Parks and Rec committee or something would be an appropriate group to take a look at these and make their report.
I think that's a wonderful idea. Yep, I like it.
Okay, we will put a formal program together and roll that out for spring.
Okay, moving on to the mayor's message. I just kind of spoke about a little bit earlier about what stepping stones. I was at the Oregon Mayor's Association annual meeting. Had a wonderful time. It was really a great learning opportunity. I had a very eye-opening experience with the new mayor, kind of walking out and being like, how long have you been mayor for? Like, oh, 23 years. Like, okay, so it's almost as old as I've been alive. So, you know, I'm pretty impressed. That being said, I did learn a ton. I'm really excited to have further conversations with Dave and council about how we can change some things and make some things better. And so then the things we're already doing, you know, talking about stepping stone alliance and work has occurred in so many different ways and just kind of sticking with it. Still doing sort of what I would argue is one of the best things in the state. So we're going to continue doing that. And I'm proud of the staff of the city to have some of the great talking points that we'll talk about. So keep it up and thank you for allowing me to go to that and it's a great time.
Yeah, you bet. It's great.
Okay, go on to council information and discussion. We're going to start with Councilmember Thunderbird.
Well. I haven't been around, so I'm really sorry. I'm now at home though. I saw in the old notes, I'm very sad about retiring chief. Thank you for many meetings. And looking forward to well, not really looking forward to school start, but ready to get back. And I'm sorry, I'm still on vacation mind. Have a great vacation though, you too. By the way. Okay, sorry, your turn. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, this weekend kind of drove around the city a little more and, I think it's great. We're gonna do some kind of a project to really kind of drive some community pride with our lawns. But I also understand that, you know, majority of our citizens are living rent. You know, they're not homeowners. You know, we have a large percentage of that. It's changing in that. That's one thing. But I think that it would be nice to have some of that stuff. Like if you go on 8th Street, some of those streets back there, I think we need to kind of focus on maybe doing a street or something like that. Just, also, a community member brought up, do we have any codes on building colors or anything of that nature?
That's a great question.
Is that something that we can bring up in the future?
The short version is yes. The much longer version is it's very difficult
Okay.
to implement something like that.
And it's not my personal opinion, I'm just saying that I had multiple people contact me about some stuff, so I just, and we all know.
Yeah.
It's growing on it.
Yeah.
My wife
I don't
likes
have an issue with
Yeah.
it. I get it, but it is what it is, you know.
I mean,
I'm only passing on what citizens are telling me.
yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys are gonna get it, so, yes, yeah, so, that one, and.
I'll say in short, there's enough restrictions on property owners as it is, and this is their personal property,
Yep.
commercial or residential.
It's different.
In general, government probably should keep their hands out of that. 'Cause they
Yeah,
are.
I agree.
Agreed, so as much as everybody has their own different flavors.
Yeah. No. Yep. So, the other one was the trailer park up on top with the fence. Are we moving towards them getting that?
Well, that's been notified, yeah.
We had that.
Yeah.
I just found that, you know.
It's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, everything was good. I thank you again, sir, for coming to the meeting.
Yeah.
I sure appreciate it. Yeah, we're looking for a long-term partnership. That's fantastic. And we appreciate you moving forward with the special districts, because that's one of the key things we need to hit on. As we move forward and we grow as a city, we need all the help and support we get. So we appreciate it.
Councilmember Wheeler.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you earlier, how many, jobs do you typically get at the data centers
I'm sorry, couldn't hear you.
when you are fully, installed into the city? How many jobs do you typically,
You know, it could be our jobs or it could be one of our tenants' jobs, but I would anticipate we would have about 150 people. And they would all be good paying jobs. And it was mentioned earlier about the community college in Wenatchee. We have participated with Big Bend Community College, setting curriculums and sponsoring part of their classrooms, and actually we've had people go through those programs and come to work for us for careers. So we're really strong believers in trying to find you know, the talent that's here and develop it. So it's a little bit of a fluid number depending on how we get who comes in the door and how they operate. But they're all quality jobs and career type jobs.
perfect, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm just excited for us to continue growing in that way. I love hearing the ability to help with some of these projects that we do have as a city, but more importantly, I want to make sure our citizens are getting taken care of. So just really excited for that. And
Can I add one more thing?
yeah, go ahead.
In the construction of these data centers, we tend to go for years. And those are 200 and 300 people at a time that are working on those sites. And while it's sometimes considered temporary, they're very strong, permanent type jobs that last a long time and also pay very well. So I want to mention that too. Sometimes we don't get enough credit for that, but that's and they're eating in the restaurants and they're staying
Right, yeah.
and they're really infusing the community with their money.
Plus they'll find the charm in the town. They're gonna leave.
Well, as I was sitting back there, I said to myself, I should buy a piece of property right here and have a house.
Great place.
I think the conversation I'm hearing, we're gonna go this way.
Yeah. You bet.
Yes, absolutely. That's actually a really great point. And all of my years of being just in careers, one of the common things I personally would look at is where is this business going? And there's been businesses that I've interviewed and talked with before, and people are like, we're stuck in our ways. This is how things have always been, and I don't need to learn anything more. And I was like, I need to get here now. Then there's been other jobs where they have a great profitable year and the CEO looks at everyone and says, okay, so what can we do to reinvest back into this business? And personally, that's what I feel like Umatilla continues to do is we're getting that increase with businesses coming in and just the growth in the community, but we're constantly looking at how can we continue to reinvest. And that's why I love still being here and being able to be that forward thinker with our goals and everything we're setting for our citizens. Because I know this is, like you said, an upward trajectory. So thank you.
Well, I'm glad there's a data center not named Amazon coming in, you know. Anyway, so welcome to the city, but I was just gonna say that, you know, me and my kid got some kayaks and we went on the river out there and tried to stay cool because it's, you know, hot. So, but anyway, we went and checked out the road past the new bridge thing. That's kind of cool. That's huge. How big is that gonna be off the water? Like out of the deck?
Yeah, so I think when people see, when the crane actually drops it onto the abutment, it's gonna be quite eye-opening. So, it's a slight arc. So the apex of the bridge is a minimum, I believe it's 9 feet higher, which is a lot than what
Okay.
the other bridge was, and the abutments start at about 5 feet higher than where the other bridge was, so. We have a flooding event like we had before, we're out of the danger zone.
Sure.
And if you saw the picture that we posted on social media, that is quite the reinforced rebar lattice. That's
Yeah.
being poured and it's being poured, incremental pouring, so that each for those curing periods and stuff, according to the engineer's design. It should be able to withstand those, I mean, nothing's a guarantee, but, should be significantly better at withstanding flood conditions, with all the pressure that water, that nature will put against it, so. Yeah, it's gonna be, and then, so with that being a wider and taller, it had to get 120 feet longer than what the other bridge was, so it's significantly longer, taller, wider, all of it. It's much bigger.
It's pretty cool though. Anyway, I was pretty impressed, so. I just want,
It was set today, and it's set 27 feet above the water.
what, okay, is that where the fishing platforms are gonna be?
You mean the lookouts?
I mean, look out. Yeah, that's what I mean.
There's no fishing on the bridge, yeah.
Okay, I was under the impression there's fishing.
Pretty long net. Yeah.
It's a long, definite, yeah. Anyway, yeah,
A lot of room for your fish to jiggle off the hook.
it's a lot, yeah, I'll dive in after it.
Some of the benefits of the both ends will be bollards, people will be able to walk through, but in the case that the 730 bridge is down for whatever reason, there's some sort of emergency, police vehicles and ambulance, not your big apparatus chief, that's too big, but they'll be able to use that as an emergency crossing in those types of things. So we engineered it to be able to do that as well. So we got an additional community benefit out of it too.
I'm just super stoked, man, just seeing the kids walking on Powerline Road, day in, day out, it's sketchy out there sometimes, So I was pretty excited to see that. That's all I want to say, and I'm done. Everybody just stay hydrated, stay cool. Yeah, and no fires. That's the word on the street.
Councilmember Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, yeah, I'd like to, just thank Councilor Wheeler, especially for her comments on their, that was awesome. And boy, we are definitely in a heat wave. Watch out for those pets outside. I would like to, just kind of get an update on how we're doing on Rock the Locks ticket sales.
They're going good, they're just not as good as we were hoping they would be at this point. So it's hard to pinpoint exactly why that might be. So we're investing a little bit more in local advertisement. So we have advertisement here in the region. We also expanded to hit some of our bigger markets. So we're in Boise and Lewiston, Idaho, Spokane. We've been in Tri-Cities, Yakima, Seattle, Portland, and Bend. And then and Pendleton. And so we the going in here to the last 60 days or so, it's going to be all those advertisements are out there and they run their course all the way to the end of September, basically. And so now what you're going to see local is going to be all local focus for really the next 60 days. And so we'll push really strongly from Pendleton and Tri-Cities, and we'll be on. So NBC is one of our title sponsors for this event, and we're going to go start. We've been running ads on channel 4 on NBC CanU, and we'll be in the studio next week where they're 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock weather time. We'll be doing interviews there, handing out tickets, people that call, free tickets, people that call in. We're on all our title radio sponsor is Eagle FM 106.5. They're affiliated with like it's either 7 or 9, I forget the exact number, different radio stations. And we're also reaching out with like Bob FM, stuff like that, where most of our demographic is, where it's kind of the it's not oldies is like 50s and 60s. This is what they're calling classic radio, so late 70s, 80s, 90s radio. So all of that still, I know.
Yeah.
Still,
That was my reaction.
still a little 90s being in there. But anyway, so that's running forward pretty well. We at the moment, between camping and tickets, we're at about 1,500 tickets sold so far today.
Our goal was 5,000.
Our goal, our break even is like 4,200. And so we actually, budgeted for this event to be at like 4,000, 3,900, 4,000. It just depends on a single day or a 3-day ticket, but somewhere right around 4,000 is where we budgeted for. If we can get to 4,200 tickets sold, we're close to break even, and anything on top of that is, positive revenue. So we'll see where it runs. We know that, a couple things that we have, working against us as we've learned, and we'll have our recap when this is all over, is one, it being the first weekend of October is opening, deer season weekend.
Yes, sir.
And so, that probably is our demographic for this event, 35 and older, and, those are people that, have disposable income and would want to come and frequent this event. So, it's likely, or at least we'll talk about it anyway, we'll bring it back to council for discussion, but staff is likely going to propose to move this one weekend sooner, the last weekend of September rather than the first weekend of October, to avoid that conflict. We think there's probably at least 500 tickets on the table that were there. And then the other issue with it being October is I think people, and it being a new event, is that they just don't know what the weather's going to be like yet, or what type, how many people are coming. And so we want people to have FOMO. We want fear of missing out. We want that. And since we don't have an established event yet, we just don't get that sort of element to it. But more so, I think the weather condition is going to be a big role. So we fully expect when we get to about 2 to 3 weeks out, we expect to see a lot more tickets being sold then. And it being a first year event, we'll probably see a lot more at the gate sales in this first year than we'll see in second, third, fourth year if we get to those points. So it's just, so that's where we're at right now.
I just, mentioning, I saw on a social media platform, someone was, unhappy that there wasn't a cash option to buy tickets. Is that correct?
It's not correct. So you can buy tickets with cash, you can buy anything with cash. So the way that it works at the event, you can pay, when you go to park, there's $20 parking fee. So you can either pay it before you come when you get there. You pay $20 to get it, you can get it with cash or credit card, doesn't matter. When you go to buy your ticket, you can buy your ticket at the gate with cash or credit card. It's just inside the event venue, it's a cashless event. So we've contracted with a software and commercial provider called Fastbar. And so you load onto the wristband, it's RFID. So you go on, you have an app on your phone or on the computer, you load your credit card, or if you want to, you can go to our Fastbar booth, and for example, you can load $200 cash onto your RFID. So that way, inside the venue, you use that for everywhere you go to buy everything. There's lots of reasons for that. One is, you can imagine, it helps with security. The fact that there's not quite literally hundreds of thousands of dollars of cash flying all around the event, it allows us to pinpoint exactly where cash is and have a better security presence there. So at the Fastbar booth and other undisclosed locations. And so we have that there. It makes it a lot easier to protect that and to move cash around. Because quite literally, as you can imagine, with this 5,000 people out there, there's over $500,000 of cash for just for the vendors, let alone it might be people's pockets or things like that. So it helps us do that. Also, it helps us keep honest people honest. So we want our vendors that everything gets loaded in there, and we negotiated essentially a 20/80 rule. They're paying us 20% of their gross sales. And so they, it's hard to know exactly what those gross sales are. We're in the business of sort of trust but verify. And so this allows us to be able to trust what their sales are, but we can now verify. So we know exactly what sells. It also helps us if we have a particular food vendor, for example, that's there that just doesn't sell anything. And because we've already had to tell people, no, we're out of space. We got 20 food vendors, we got 10 craft vendors, we're sold out on vendor space. And we have people that say, can I get in line for next year? We want to reward those that are high positive sales, and those that just aren't able to make the sell, we have to make room for others that might have an opportunity to come into the next year. And so this allows us to track which items are popular, which items are allowed to be used. So there's a lot of benefits. I can go into all that, but if you have cash, you can use cash. You just have to go to Fastbar to turn in cash, and then you can use your RFID when you're there. If at the end you haven't spent all your money, we cash you out either at the end of the day, or we cash you out at the end of the 3 days on your way out the building.
And so all of the vendors are in place that we need
all the vendors are in place and we have wait lists on both food and craft vendors.
And is there any pushback from the vendors to do the cashless system?
Um,
With the RFID?
Most, no, a few, yeah, just because they're not familiar with with FastBar, they're not familiar with the vendor. And some of them are already set up with like Square or whatever they use. And so, there was some potential wire to have something set up. But when we explained to them all our pros and some of the cons, most of them are quite supportive of it. There's still a few that don't like it. But it's sort of the cost of admission.
So they don't like it, but they're still gonna be there, right? I mean, they didn't say.
They didn't pull out. They said, no, that's not for me. They said, okay, that's fine. So we do, there's essentially an orientation training for the vendors. They have to provide us all of their, all of their ledger items, and, they all get to this. We need to have that, a couple of weeks prior to the event so that we can get that all in. What's really nice, so when you go up to the event, they'll have on their end a tablet just like this, and then there'll be another screen on this end here. And so when it's time to sell, you get a list of everything that you're buying, and you just hold up your wristband to it, and it's sold, and then you get either texted to you, if you set up for text, or it goes to the app immediately, so you get digital receipts, you can track everything in live time. It also doesn't need to have internet connection, so even though we will have internet available out there and free Wi-Fi during the event, the system works on or offline, doesn't.
Oh, is there a fee to use or load onto that FastBar thing, they.
There's a fee for us
But
to
it's
hire
a fee
FastBar,
for,
but
like,
not,
say I was gonna put $100 on this thing.
no cost to the customer.
Okay.
Honestly, I was just at Roaring Springs in Idaho this past weekend, and that's exactly what they are using, so a lot of these places are going to that.
Yeah, I was in Denver, same thing, everything was cash.
All large, I mean, a lot of these big events, just the security benefit alone is. So, I mean, otherwise, just to have, run you through the logistics of just the private security to protect our cash, let alone vendor cash, is about an extra $25,000 just to have security for that extra money moving around the venue. And so it's, we might as well spend that money on general logistics, software system, and keep that cash. And honestly, most theft crimes, for example, are crimes of opportunity. They see something lying around, it wasn't premeditated. And so that sort of petty crime of opportunity, temptation goes away, and you end up with much more friendly.
And, in line with the same questions, how are we doing on being prepared, having everything ready? I mean, are we on schedule? Are we behind? How's that?
Yeah, we are on schedule, but our contingencies of schedule is pretty tight. We have right now, Chief Chris and Chief Huxwell, I know it's Chief Grant, but anyway, so they're working together, spearheading on our emergency management and security, and we've got our private security contractor on board, and our other partner agencies, Umatilla County, OSP, Morrow County, and so on. They're all, I would say, moderately committed. We don't have firm date schedules yet, but they've communicated that we can anticipate some level of those support from those organizations. So that plan, we have a very good draft plan for that, and we continue to finalize that. We'll finalize that all the way until about 10 days prior to the event, just to go through every sort of possible scenario and nuance. As far as all the other logistics of the event, vendors in and out, stage, sound, fencing, security, barricades, barriers, sound devices, all those things, all those materials, the majority of those materials are already here. We've lined up our contracts with prison work crew to help put in essentially a 3-mile fence around this perimeter, as well as all the other loose end work that sort of the remedial tasks, I guess. The only thing right now that's really tight is the electricity installation out there. So vaults are in, electrical conduit is in. Those transformers were like on a 9-month ahead of time order. We ordered them about 7 months ahead of time, and we were able to get those in. So those are here. And so now it's just getting the electrical contractors, on board. Right now, we thought the installation of that was gonna be under, procurement threshold, but the business is becoming a little too high, so we're actually gonna have to bid that out. Which, is gonna slow down that process a little bit. That's gobbled up our remaining 2 week contingency. So, assuming that works out right, that should all get in there in time. So we're on time on all of that. But we've gobbled up all the contingency in time, so hopefully we don't.
So we are kind of against.
We're right at it. We've got maybe 3 days contingency left on some of our critical path items like electricity. We're good, but we have it in writing that, yes, I can provide you contractors, I can get that installed. Materials are already here. Materials was the biggest wild card, but those are already here. So it's just lining up the labor.
Thank you. And then, just one other, topic that I would like to just kind of throw out for discussion, and I'd like to kind of hear some feedback from council. I hear a lot of questions about water from people, and, I would like to become clearer on those answers. And I was wondering, can we, designate, probably one of our mid-month meetings where we set aside some time that we can kind of run through, where we're at on our water, what our usage looks like going forward, how much the data centers are pulling, how much we're able to produce, our timeline for our PODs, all that. I'd like to just have a better understanding of exactly where we're at and what the future looks like as far as, future demand, things like that. What does the rest of the council feel? I guess I would like to ask. I'm kind of interested to know. You guys know a lot more than I do.
Would it be easier to send out just like monthly update on it?
If I may, I was just looking for an opportunity to have question and answer, so
Okay.
that we can ask
Well-
questions, get answered.
I mean, like, what are we?
The nice thing is we have 2 poles to drop on, and, I mean, I think that as far as critical stuff, I don't think we're overburdened. I would like to see where we're going with the campuses up on, outline, where we're at with that project, and I know we were kind of against the wall with that, which is really not us, it's other people, but.
Yeah, so absolutely staff can come prepared. If council would like to bring a discussion, that sounds like there's consensus for that, no problem providing an update. We can do it high level. If you want to get more specific into data center usage, we have to pull that into executive session because it's proprietary information, so we can't share that publicly. But we can provide you the high level water availability and usage throughout the entire city. We can definitely do that. If there's anything specific you'd like us to focus
So
on, is it just,
I guess I would.
Yeah.
I would really like to know where we're at on our groundwater situation. Where those wells are at for depth, where the water levels are at, where they've been historically. I know they're dropping. I want to, and our usage is coming up. I don't want to have a day come that we're pulling air out of our groundwater and all of a sudden now what we do. I just want to have a conversation.
yeah, it's great. We have that data very, very good for this year, specifically for usage. So at council's direction with the PDX, with the South Hill data centers. You directed staff to track specifically day-to-day water usage this year to see in those wells. And so we contracted that out. And we get updates each week. I have that in a spreadsheet that I got, I think it was either today or yesterday. I can forward that to you and it's public record. So that's it, because it doesn't track the specific user, the end user. It tracks what the well elevations and the amount of water that was pumped out. So that's something that we have readily available that we can share just so you have it. And then we can bring that to you for just so you can have what I have today. And then we can bring that to you September as a discussion item to interpret that a little bit more, provide additional feedback, but at least that will give you some room to prepare some questions just by what you see, or if you need some clarification, certainly do that.
I think that's great. Thank you.
All right, at this time, I think we're looking to adjourn this meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn that.
Hang a second, that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All vote. Guys, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here tonight.
Yeah.